What is the big plan of the New York Mets? And well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watsu-K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. So I wanted to come here today and talk a little bit about the New York Mets. Now, there's still a few months to go between now and the start of the regular season, but I am seeing a swell of negativity amongst the fan base that is usually only reserved for during the season when everybody is pretty much given up and they're ripping player after player. I mean, as Mets fans, the offseason is usually the time for optimism, but not this year. Not this year. But I wanted to come on and just try to be a little bit level-headed and try to understand why the Mets may not be signing marquee free agents going into the 2024 season. Matter of fact, we pretty much know they're not going to be signing many marquee free agents. You know, it's been a lot of mid-level players, a lot of short-term contracts, but maybe there's a bigger reason. So let's talk about this. So we know the Mets went for it each of the last 2 years. They didn't make their goal. 2022 won 101 games, bowed out very quickly in the playoffs to the Padres. 2023, the less said, the better. 75 wins. Complete disappointment despite having the biggest payroll in all of baseball. So then at the trade deadline, they moved on. They knew they were not going to contend, a decision that I honestly agreed with. I felt by pretty much mid to late June that the Mets were just not a legitimate contender for the playoffs, let alone a World Series. So they trade their veterans in order to restock the farm system. Now here's the thing with that. In order to get those better prospects, they took on a lot of money. They're eating a lot of dead money already in 2024. So I'm going to give you a couple of numbers here. The Mets payroll is currently projected to be $229 million. The luxury tax payroll takes up to $306 million. That doesn't even account for arbitration hearings or if the Mets sign any more players. So, as we said, the Mets agreed to pay off some large portions of the remaining salaries. They did this for James McCann, for Max Scherzer, for Justin Verlander. Those three players alone will cost the Mets $49.5 million during 2024. That's about 22% of the club's total payroll. Think about it. It's dead money. It's going to players who are on other teams. We saw a similar situation this past season. The Mets were on the hook for Robinson Cano, Darren Ruff, and James McCann for $34 million. So this is the second year in a row that that's happening. Oh, it does get a little bit better. So you have the $49.5 million in dead money, plus you got a bunch of players on expiring contracts after 2024. So we've got Omar Narvaez, Luis Severino, Joey Wendell, Jose Quintana, Harrison Bader. Those five players who could be gone after this season, they combine for $45.5 million. So when you combine those two categories, dead money and one-year contracts, $95 million are going towards those two categories. It's about 41% of the Mets' total payroll. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go to 2025, a year down the road. So then what happens? Well, they're off the hook for McCann. They're off the hook for Scherzer. They owe Verlander another $17 million. And then there's another $1.9 million only to pay Bobby Bonilla, insert your joke, Brett Saberhagen, and Adam Ottavino. Okay, so the way that the club's current payroll would stand, when you factor in other contracts that are going to end, their 2025 payroll currently stands at $143 million. That's about $100 million less than it is projected to be in 2024. And then when you look at the free agents that are going to be available in 2025, it makes more sense. The Mets had the oldest roster in baseball. It was too expensive for the results that they were going to get, so they didn't triple down on what was failing them. They decided to hit the reset button, not rebuild, but reset and try to leave some spots open for some of these kids, to actually have an impact. So who are some of the free agents coming up in 2025? Well, you've got Juan Soto, Garrett Cole, Zach Wheeler, Paul Goldschmidt, Jose Altuve, Walker Buehler, Shane Bieber, Alex Bregman, Max Fried, Corbin Burns, Pete Alonso, assuming the Mets haven't completed the extension by then. Okay, so I believe the Mets are setting their eyes on the players who are going to be available in 2025 rather than commit all this money to a lower caliber group of free agents who are currently available on the market. Now, that is going to hurt this season. It is going to hurt. The ceiling for this team may very well be a wild card if all goes well. But remember, last year, the Arizona Diamondbacks, who expected them to make the playoffs at the start of the season? I know I didn't. I had them as a fourth-place team. And, all they had to do was get in the dance and be healthy. And look what they did. They beat the Brewers, the Dodgers, and the Phillies to make the World Series. And it's pretty amazing. The Mets had a better team ERA than Arizona. They hit more home runs than Arizona. So if you want to call it out that the Mets are punting on 2024, be my guest. It may very well just be that. Yes, I acknowledge the Mets are not going all in, it looks like, to win in 2024. But if you look a year ahead and you figure out that a lot of the prospects are position players, and this may give them some opportunities to get some playing time this year, the plan starts to make more sense. So hopefully if you're a Mets fan, that helps you feel a little bit better about the prospects going through one year that may not be so great. But again, this is still a very capable team in my mind. You have a better defense for sure. You have Edwin Diaz returning. Starling Marte is playing winter ball. And we saw how the Mets absolutely went down in September of 22 when Marte got hurt. So is it a deep team? It is not. I would still like to see an 8th inning reliever sign. I would still like to see another bat get signed. But we'll see what happens. All right, well, those are my thoughts on the Mets strategy, what I think they're doing for this offseason, and looking ahead for the next season as well. But let me know your thoughts. Put them down there in the comments. Does it make a little bit more sense to you why the Mets are doing what they're doing? Or are you still really, really upset and just feel like they're basically giving up on 2024? I'm curious to get your thoughts. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.